Liverpool just put in one of their best performances of the season, beating Marseille in the Champions League by 3-0, and it was largely down to a brand new tactical setup Arne Slot unveiled with his side in this game. In this video, we're going to be breaking down Slot's new formation, highlighting a brand new key role for Mo Salah, and explaining why this could make Liverpool even more dangerous going forwards. In the game against Marseille, Arne Slot debuted this, Liverpool's new 4-2-2-2 formation, consisting of a back four, a midfield double pivot, two almost attacking midfielders tucked in field, and a split striker combo which allowed them to go forwards and create dynamic passages of play and more creative attacks. And when we think about how this works, what you tended to see was Frimpong and Kirkesh, two of Liverpool's most attacking players, really going forwards, dominating those wide areas and holding the width for this relatively narrow Liverpool setup. It was then the case of Gravenberch and McAllister making sure that they worked in tandem with each other. Whether one goes forwards, whether one drops back, it was all seamless, and it allowed for Liverpool to start to orchestrate attacks going up against this Marseille side. Dominic Szoboszlai and Florian Wirtz dropped into separate attacking midfield pockets, while also dropping deep to receive the pass when they needed to from that midfield double pivot. And then it was the work of Mo Salah and Hugo Ekitike to run not only in behind, but also link with their team to be able to get on the end of cutting through passes that would allow them to get closer to goal. And you've got a really good example of this 4-2-2-2 right here. So you've got Salah and Ekitike just going forwards here. You've got Wirtz and Dominic Szoboszlai holding on to that attacking midfield slot. Just behind, you've got that double pivot of McAllister and Gravenberch, and obviously you've got that back four. But what else this does is, out of possession, it allowed Liverpool to really match up this Marseille side man for man almost, especially in the middle of the park, and that prevented Marseille from really utilising the centre of the pitch. But at the same time, it also gives them a whole heap of attacking power going forwards. Composed, it was really well balanced, and it looks like the answer to a lot of Liverpool's problems. We'll talk about Liverpool's attacking intricacies when they went forwards in just a moment, but from a defensive perspective, there were a couple of questions that needed to be answered. What would happen with Mo Salah? How would Liverpool defend the wide areas with such a narrow formation? And would there be a potential for an overload for the opposition? What you tended to see was Arne Slot answer quite a lot of these questions within this game. Frimpong and Kirkesh would tuck in next to their centre-back partners. That would create their natural back four, but there would be a question around the wide areas. Typically, in Liverpool's old formation, what you'd tend to see is if Salah played, he wouldn't necessarily track back as much. That left more work to do for the extra midfielders. In this particular formation, what you saw was Dominic Szoboszlai and Florian Wirtz drop into those wide areas and create essentially two banks of four. This left Salah and Ekitike available for those counter-attacking opportunities. And this kind of gives the best of both worlds, because while Liverpool are also able to defend the wide areas, Szoboszlai would help out Frimpong, Wirtz would help out Kirkesh. If he needed to, McAllister would come and cover, and Gravenberch would make up that numerical advantage in that back line whenever Arne Slot needed him to. But from transitioning and going forwards, what Liverpool tended to do was find Salah and Ekitike and then be able to drive forwards, creating that advantage, using their pace, using their dynamism, and it suited almost all parties. Liverpool were defensively solid, and then they were able to utilise the passing range of Gravenberch, of Szoboszlai, and the running power of some of these players to then get the ball into Mo Salah and get him into those extremely dangerous moments. And it allowed Liverpool to create a number of extremely useful and dangerous opportunities. Going forwards and being offensive is where this Liverpool side and this formation really did come alive though. We have so many different things to talk about and so many different intricacies that really did come to the forefront here. To begin with, we need to talk about the width. Like with our defensive setup, the question would be, how would Liverpool create their wide presence? While Salah and Ekitike became a little bit more narrow to give that real aggression going into the box, Szoboszlai and Wirtz really creating that box with Gravenberch Gravenberch and McAllister and creating that numerical advantage in the midfield, you needed to have wide presence. And that is where Frimpong and Kirkish really did come to the forefront. Really impressive, really dynamic, and their work rates allow for this wide presence to be really quite dangerous, especially Frimpong's side. We know he scores a goal from a really dynamic piece of play that he creates almost by himself. It was then the question of Gravenberch and McAllister and the way they would work in tandem with each other. In this particular game, you saw Gravenberch move forwards in line with both Szoboszlai and Florian Wirtz, who would have those left and right attacking midfield pockets. But in adding Gravenberch a little bit further forwards, you're creating an extra numerical advantage, and that means more passing lanes. McAllister would move centrally in between both Gomez and Van Dijk to both receive passes from them and recycle possession, but also to punch the ball through the lines and find the likes of Gravenberch, find the likes of Szoboszlai. And then it was a case of once you got the ball forwards into those areas and finding those players in between the lines, that you managed to get it through into your split striker combo. Both Salah and Ekitike like the ball to feet. Both are happy to run in beyond, and that's where the balance really comes in with this side. One other thing I'll mention as well is if you don't necessarily play Salah, a double attacking combo of Ekitike and Alexander Isak could be the way forwards as well for this Liverpool side, given how comfortable both players are with not only running in beyond, but also taking the ball to feet and finding striking opportunities. But in this particular moment, we had Salah, and what Liverpool did so well was punch the ball through these areas and find dynamic patterns and dynamic movements from these strikers to create chances. Liverpool did this on a couple of occasions, and Salah should have had a goal, and so should Ekitike. They did a really good job of finding these moments and holding the wide areas. It could be the new way that Liverpool begin to attack. And this is what that creates, a hyper-aggressive, dynamic attack that makes Liverpool look really, really potent. McAllister is on the ball currently, but before we move this on, just take note of the positioning of both of Liverpool's fullbacks. You've got Frimpong high and wide on the right, and you've got Kirkish on that opposite flank. They're on the last line of Marseille's defence. This means that you've got both Van Dijk and Gomez to recycle possession with McAllister, and look at that midfield trio. Florian Wirtz on the left, Dominic Szoboszlai on the right, and Ryan Gravenberch just making a bit more of a vertical movement to be in line with those players. Of course, you've got your split strikers in Mo Salah and in Hugo Ekitike. One can come short, one can run and beyond, but the most important thing in this particular instance is the fact that they're both occupying Marseille's centre-backs, which prevents those centre-backs from pushing forwards onto the Liverpool midfielders. This means it pins them and allows for those midfielders to receive passes, which we'll see in just a moment. So Gomez gets the ball and drives a little bit further forwards, very much like you'd see a right side of a back three do. He takes the space in front of him on the left-hand side of the Marseille attacker. As he goes forwards, he's looking for a pass, and he finds this pass into Dominic Szoboszlai between the lines. This is exactly what Arne and Liverpool want, to find that pass right there, that moment in between the midfield and the defensive units. Once the ball gets punched through that midfield line, it then allows Liverpool to come alive. Not only have you got Frimpong on this right-hand side, but you've got dynamic runs from not one, but two strikers. Mo Salah making a movement on the right-hand side, and Hugo Ekitike making an out-to-in run from that left-hand channel, that inside left-hand channel. It's this movement that Dominic Szoboszlai sees and waits a brilliant pass into his striker. And it's from that he gets a glorious chance. He hits the post. It's very unfortunate. But the dynamic pattern of play that Liverpool were able to create in this game really did give so many dangerous moments for this Marseille defence. And it could be, like I said earlier, a really good way that Liverpool find themselves going forwards. Could be the future. And everything that we've spoken about in this video really does come together perfectly in Liverpool's third goal. So what have you got? While there have been some substitutions, the formation really does stay the same, and especially the instructions, they don't change. So what you've got is Joe Gomez on the ball right now. He's going to punch the ball into that right attacking midfield slot where Dominic Szoboszlai is. We have Florian Wirtz having been substituted, but Curtis Jones has come on in that position, in that left attacking midfield slot. And then on the far side, you've got Cody Gakpo coming on for Hugo Ekitike. He's going to be the goal scorer. We're going to keep an eye on him as this play develops. So Joe Gomez finds Dominic Szoboszlai pretty brilliantly, and this is the advantage of pushing Ryan Gravenberch that little bit further forwards ahead of Alexis McAllister, because it allows for him to get onto the end of the pass that Dominic Szoboszlai flicks on for him. It's then in that moment that Liverpool, like previously, come alive, the moment they break that line. Gravenberch drives forwards with the ball, and then it's about how much movement you can get from your Liverpool players. Your left attacking midfielder makes a darting run from out to in, very similar to that run that Ekitike made, and what that does is drag away that Marseille player, leaving Cody Gakpo in loads of space. But don't forget the run of Mo Salah here. That's really important as well, because he could go right. The ability for Ryan Gravenberch in this particular scenario to have options is so very critical, because it gives Marseille so many different things to think about, and it makes it more difficult to defend against. So as the pass gets played into Cody Gakpo, it gets given loads of space because of that great out-to-in run from Curtis Jones, and we know how that ends. Cody Gakpo slots it into the right-hand corner. It is a really interesting formation that has opened up so many different attacking avenues for this Liverpool side, and I, for one, am excited to see how it develops. But of course, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below on Liverpool's new formation, on their game against Marseille, and how you think this could develop for them in the future. I'd love to hear from you, so please do get involved. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learnt something new, and I hope to see you in the next one. But until then, my friends, take care.